Thank you very much. So, are you seeing my screen?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So as Sean said, this evening we're looking at sunlight and nutrition. And I am happy that nutrition is the last one that we're going to talk about this evening. Sunlight, another very, very important topic. And I am happy that you have already gone through the other laws so that having experienced the laws, the doctors, as we prefer to call them, and having practiced them, then you will find it much easier to practice these two as well. As Sean said, my name is Rosetta, and from DRD Natural Health, and I am a nutritionist. My daughter, Danisha, and I, we work together. And before I start, I just want to put a disclaimer that the information is provided this evening is for educational purposes only, and it's not intended to diagnose, prescribe, treat, or replace the recommendation of your healthcare professional. So, the true remedies, as you have gone through them before, and this evening we're doing the two highlighted ones, sunlight and nutrition, which is stated here as proper diet. So everything in nature depends on sunlight, including you and me. And I am hoping that by the end of this presentation on sunlight, you will realize how important sunlight really is to our everyday life. So in Genesis 1:16, God made two great lights, the greater light to rule the day and the lesser light to rule the night. So sunlight is considered heaven's blessing. It's actually nature's antibiotic. And if you can at all, not now, assuming that you're all from in North America, but during the summer months, put your blankets, your pillows, your sheets, your everything, put it outside in the sun. And at the end, it has a very unusual, but to me, a wonderful smell. And in the summer months, I don't use a dryer. I have a line outside and I just love the smell of my clothes when it dries in the sunlight. So sunlight helps to produce vitamin D. And vitamin D, you will find out, is very, very important to each and every one of us. We would all become ill without vitamin D. And it's one of nature's most powerful healing agents. And many of us are deficient in vitamin D. We just don't know it. Um, now, uh, how do I get rid of this screen here? Oops. All right, so what happens if you are vitamin D deficient? You will realize that calcium will not absorb properly if you are less than 30 nanograms per milliliter of vitamin D. And vitamin D is required to facilitate calcium absorption through the small intestines. Without vitamin D, we will have weak bones and weak teeth. Our immune system is lowered when we are lacking vitamin D. There is a higher risk of disease and many different types of diseases, as you will see a little later. there will be arthritic pains about the body, and we will have frequent cold and flu. Who are at risk of vitamin D deficiency? The elderly, and that's persons over 70. Once they're over 70 years, they are absorbing only 25% of the vitamin D or the sunlight that they are exposed to. So persons over 70 years old need to ensure that they are getting enough vitamin D. And I didn't see anyone on over 70, but most of us have parents and grandparents who could be in that age bracket. Young children are also at risk because if their parents are not taking them outside, then they're not going outside. The chronically ill and the malnourished, they are in institutions, so they are usually at risk of being vitamin D deficient. And persons who are of darker skin. So we have to make sure that we are getting enough vitamin D because we are at risk. So vitamin D, when the sun hits our skin, it converts the cholesterol under the skin into pre-vitamin D, which is later converted into vitamin D that the body can use. If we are exposed to the sunshine, then our bodies will store the vitamin D. If we are not exposed to the sunshine and we are taking supplements, then we will have to, it is not stored. So we will have to take it on a regular basis. So daily exposure to sunlight is beneficial. Women with breast cancer should increase their vitamin D because a majority of them are likely to have low vitamin D. So if someone has been diagnosed with breast cancer, it is quite likely that they are low in vitamin D. How does an adequate amount benefit the body? I'm sorry, somehow I am not seeing the top of my screen and I don't know how to get rid of the bar that's at the top. It's not going away. Um, so I'm assuming that that one is how does adequate sunlight benefit the body? Okay. And here we have a list of ways that sunlight benefits the body. It helps to facilitate healthy bones, as we had mentioned before. The circadian rhythm is set with sunlight, as was discussed last night in rest. It helps to lower blood pressure by 8%. It decreases blood cholesterol. It lowers blood sugars. It increases our white blood cells, improves our deep breathing. Sunlight in the home will help to sterilize the home. It helps to boost the immune system. Persons who are mentally fatigued or persons who are struggling with mental health or who are fatigued, just by going in the sunshine, it boosts their spirit. It provides blood circulation. It improves it. It reduces stress. It regulates our blood cells. It modifies the work of the kidneys. It influences metabolic activities. It regulates the hormones and the biological clock, again, linked to the circadian rhythm and the melatonin. And if we should eat in sunlight, it enhances our digestion, and it is considered one of the true remedies. Hence, we call it one of the doctors. Remember, avoid sunburn. So there are three important considerations for sunlight and skin health. And the three considerations: moderation, moderation, moderation. So frequent excessive tanning can cause skin dryness, wrinkles, and premature aging of the skin, and we don't want that. So we want to have good skin, so we will avoid sun exposure. And sunburns can cause cancer. We know that. And because of that, a lot of people avoid going in the sun. But that's not the right thing to do because we need vitamin D. And basal cancer and squamous cell carcinomas, those are the two that we will get from sunlight. However, I have good news for us. If you are on a plant-based diet, you are at a lower risk of getting sunburn. All right. So persons who eat mainly plant-based, it's hardly likely that you will get cancer from going in the sun or even get sunburn on your skin. So a lot of people, even doctors, will tell you to avoid the sun. And this slide, it is saying, fear me, I cause cancer. But the note is telling us cancer is not caused by sunlight, but by sunlight reacting on trans fatty acids in the skin. So people avoiding these fats rarely get sunburn. All right. So we need to ensure that the trans fat, we're not having those in our diet. Skin cancer claims lives of approximately 2,000 Americans per year, and I'm sure by now it's more. It is estimated that a moderate sunlight exposure prevents 138,000 deaths from other types of cancer each year. It's also estimated that an additional 30,000 cancer deaths each year could be prevented by moderate sun exposure. And we need to optimize our omega-3s to prevent skin cancer. And the omega-3s are like flaxseed. We get it in our olives, in our chia seed, in our sunflower and pumpkin seeds. So sunlight and cancer. One study found that moderate sunlight exposure decreased colon cancer by 50 to 80%. And vitamin D can also stop many cancer cells from reproducing, such as in the case of leukemia, lymphoma, breast cancer, and melanoma. And in June 2007, the issue of the American Journal for Clinical Nutrition confirmed that taking 2 to 4 times the daily dietary reference intake of 200 to 600 international units of vitamin D3 and calcium resulted in a 50 to 77% reduction in expected incidence rate of all cancers combined over a 4-year period in postmenopausal women living in Nebraska. So we will see that cancer, vitamin D can help to stop the cancer cells from reproducing. And on this chart, I have only a few of the many conditions that persons will develop based on their deficiency of vitamin D. And I'm not going to go through the list, but I just want to point out that there are 18 different types of cancers that are directly linked to a deficiency in vitamin D. Um, Ovarian cancer, eye cancer, liver, pancreas, skin, lung, endometrial, breast, just to name a few. And you can see all the other conditions that persons can have just by being deficient in vitamin D. So how much sunlight do you need? If you're a light-skinned individual, then you would need, like in this case, like a Caucasian, 7.5 to 15 minutes per day. If you're a darker skinned person, then you need 45 minutes to an hour and a half daily. And this you would try to get between 9 a.m. and 3 p.m. And you want to try to get it when the sun is like immediately above you. So if your shadow is longer than you are, then that's not a good time to get the sun. It's best to get it when your shadow is very close to you. And approximately 30 minutes a day, 3 times a week in direct sunlight is adequate for most Caucasians. However, for most of us who have darker complexion, we require a lot more. And some persons with fairer skin, they can start slowly, or if you've never been in the sun before, or you're always covered up under an umbrella when you're in the sun, then you might need to start slowly. So you wouldn't want to go out one day and that day you're sitting in the sun for an hour and a half. You wouldn't want to do that. And if you're exercising in the sunshine too, then that also counts. So there's a receptor site for vitamin D on every single cell of our bodies. And as you think about the presentations tonight and the ones that were done before, I want us to think of the cell, because sometimes we think of our entire body, but if you think of a cell, which lead to making up tissues, which will go to making organs, and organs will make up our systems, different systems we have in our bodies, and the different systems is what will make the rest of us, or entire body, then you will realize the importance of one cell. So there is a receptor site on every cell for vitamin D. So what does that mean? That means that each and every one of us need to have daily vitamin D. And when we're not getting enough, then we're gonna be in problems. And right now, when persons who are getting COVID, one of the things that happens is that it attacks the cells. The virus is attacking the cell, and if it gets to the cell before you get to start treating the situation, then it's going to block the vitamin D from entering the cell. So we need to be very mindful of that. When we're in the sun, we're not looking directly in the sun, but we don't want to be in sunglasses, right? Because it prevents the pineal gland from getting sunlight. And it is through the pineal gland or the pineal gland that our brain gets sunshine or sunlight. So we want to ensure that when we're going out in the sun, if you're going to be in the sun for a very long time, of course, you can wear your sunglasses, but if you're going out for your regular exercise or your regular sun,
Rosetta, can you hear me? All right. How's it going, everyone?
Hi, Sean.
Good. How are
Good.
y'all?
That's good stuff talking about.
Yeah. You know, so she's obviously having some connection issues. So just give her a moment so she can get back on. But meanwhile, I want to just ask if anyone got any vitamin D today.
All day here in West Texas.
All right, quick question.
Yes.
How I know, right? I got none. I'm in.
Yeah, I got mine too.
Quick question. How do we get vitamin D from the sun? How do we get vitamin D from the sun? For those of us who was able to catch that.
Reacts nicely.
Nah, bro. Doesn't happen like that. Huh?
Being out in the
Yeah.
sun.
No, there's
Reacts
actually
with cholesterol.
what is it?
It reacts with cholesterol under our skin.
Thank you, Rachel. So what happens is the sunlight hits our skin and it converts cholesterol in your body into vitamin D. So yeah, cool. Thank you so much for sharing that, Rachel. All right, let's see if we can find any other questions.
Do you get
Vitamin
it the
D.
best?
What is it?
She said you get it the best when your shadow is smaller than you.
When your shadows are smaller and the sun is directly over your head. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, good. So sunlight also helps the body to naturally restore.
Sorry, LaShawn. Sister Dodd wanted me to let you know that she'll be back in. Actually, she's back in right now.
Okay, no problem.
Yeah.
Thank you.
She's just yeah.
All right, perfect. You guys did great. Again, sorry about that connection issues, but God is good. We're back, and Rosetta is back, and she's going to continue to share with us. Just give us one moment. Thank you guys so much for your patience.
Okay,
So-
all right. So it's back. I was gonna do it on my phone, but then you won't be able to see my slide.
No,
So I'm just gonna log in again. Sorry about.
it's fine, no worries. And I was saying that being able to go out in the sun in the morning time and get that sunlight, it helps to reset your circadian rhythm. And that is very important because God created us to be creatures of balance. We need to always have balance. And as we discussed, when we met on Tuesday, we spoke about temperance. The body loves this thing called regularity. The body loves when you eat the same time as much as possible every day, go to bed the same time as much as possible every day. And yeah, we're creatures of order. Let everything be done decently and in order. That's God's way. Okay, sister. So you're okay, go ahead.
Certainly, indeed, we need to ensure that we're doing everything in order. I wouldn't want to imagine heaven with all the millions of angels and there's total chaos. Everybody eating their own time, everybody doing their own thing, their own time. So you are correct. But I'll just finish the statement on that slide that I was on, where it talks about where it talks about those persons who are working on the night shift. Okay, if I could share my screen, please. The
Okay.
night shift workers, those persons are usually more at risk of gaining weight because of their lack of, one of the reasons is their lack of vitamin D. Okay. Okay, can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So in the US, these are the values that we are looking at for persons in the US. Persons in Canada, the values are different. And sorry for the Canadians that are on the line, because I just figured that, you know, it's a US presentation, so I didn't put the Canadian figures. But if you fall in the first bullet, then you are in low normal range. And we don't want to be in low normal. We want to be in the high normal or even the optimal range. So the optimal range that we would want to be in is between 50 and 55 nanogram per milliliter to 70 to 80 nanogram per milliliter. That's the required, that's the best place to be. Now, there are some foods that are high in vitamin D, and I must first say that there are some types of fish that are also high in vitamin D. but the ones that I have here, and I didn't put the fish for the main reason that, you know, we're promoting a healthier lifestyle, so I didn't necessarily put the fish there. But fortified foods such as your cereals and your oatmeal, your plant-based milk and orange juice and soy milk, those are fortified with vitamin D. But as you can see, the amount is very, very low. And if you work 5 days for the week and you're working inside a building and you go to work, you leave home before the sun comes up, you get home when the sun goes down, and you're not going out into the sunshine at lunchtime, I am going to let you know that you are vitamin D deficient. And worse, we are all living north of the equator. So you want to make sure that your levels, you're not just living off 1 cup of orange juice and say, I'm getting my vitamin D for the day. That certainly is not sufficient. So if you're supplementing with vitamin D, these are 2 brands that will give you value for your money. And what do I mean by that? The one by Nature's Answer, that one is 4,000 IU per serving. And these products are in the US. And the one on the left that's the Nature's Answer, 4,000 IU. That one is about $13 something US, I believe. And the one on the right, that's 5,000 IU that's per drop, right? So when you buy the one on the right, that's a blue bonnet one, that one is maybe $27 US. And even though it's more expensive, but if you look at the ml, one is 30 ml, one is 15 ml. So you're better off buying the one that is 5,000 IU, as you will get your money's worth from that one. So the Son of Righteousness, could it be that people have lost sight of another even more powerful light? Researchers at Dartmouth Medical School found that patients were comforted by their faith, and they were 200% more likely to live to be alive 6 months after open heart surgery versus those who found no comfort in religion. And truly, the light is sweet, and a pleasant thing it is for the eyes to behold the sun. That's Ecclesiastes 11 and verse 7. But unto you that fear my name, the Son of Righteousness shall arise with healing in his wings. Malachi 4 and verse 2. And 1 John 1:5 says, God is light, and in him is no darkness at all. So just as sunlight has powerful healing potential for our bodies, Jesus, the light of the world, is the best healing sunshine for our souls. My encouragement to you is to walk in that light and bask in the sunshine of his presence. So do you want an ultimate antidepressant? Because there are many people who during the winter months, they are so depressed because the days are so gray. Both the physical sunlight and the sun of righteousness can be considered the ultimate antidepressant. And I'd love for you to make a commitment. Knowing what you now know, this is what you're saying. So you're reading this. Knowing what I now know about sunlight, I purpose to get my daily amount of sunlight. And that's preferably in the months June, July, and August when the sun is at its peak. And during the other months to take a vitamin D3 supplement to maintain my health. I will open the window of my soul daily and let the sunlight of God's love in to illuminate my mind. Friends, when I got the information on the importance of vitamin D in my body, and I know that I was not spending enough time outside, I started supplementing and I started taking my D3 supplement. And I'm going to tell you what I took. I'm not telling you to take what I took, but I'm telling you this because in in if it's you're in a situation where you are very low. I did not go to the doctor to be tested, but I didn't have to ask if I was low. I realized my D was low, and you can go to the doctor and ask the doctor to get tested. But I took 20,000 IU per day for 1 month, and then I reduced it to 12,000, and then to 10,000, and I'm still at 10,000 right now, and I'm going to reduce that to 5,000 IU per day, and I will stay at that until I can go out into the sunshine. A number of conditions that we have, even our skin, different blotches or white spots on our skin, all caused because we are lacking vitamin D. So I want for you to make this commitment today that you will go into the sun and you'll get your sunlight, or you will take your supplement. But most of all, in addition to doing that, that you will allow the sun of righteousness to illuminate your mind. And that's it for sunlight. You can hold your questions and we will take them as soon as we're done with nutrition. Now, nutrition is a topic that many people are interested in, but they are also not interested in hearing some of the information about nutrition, because we love to eat. And I know I love to eat, and I'm going to assume that you love to eat too. So the information sometimes causes persons to cringe. I am asking every single person this evening to not to believe that I'm expecting you to jump off into the deep end of the ocean and to make any drastic lifestyle change as it relates to nutrition. For the other 7 doctors, you can make those changes immediately in most cases. But with nutrition, it is best that the transition is slow. Why would that be necessary? When persons are on an animal-based diet, they are, without knowing, there is an addiction to the plant-based meat. When you drastically make that change, your body tells you that something is wrong. You feel weak, you feel lethargic. So you need to make the change slowly. And I know Sean told me that there are persons on who are not Christians, maybe persons who are not of any faith. So we want you to understand that the information is so that you will make the change in the future for better health, and not that we're expecting you to drop everything tonight and make a change tomorrow morning, okay? All right. So grains, fruits, nuts, and vegetables constitute the diet chosen for us by our Creator. And if we look at the history of dietary for mankind through the Bible, we will see that the original diet that was given by God was in Genesis 1:29. There was a restorative diet that was given after sin, and this is in Genesis 3:18. An emergency diet was given after the flood, and that is in Genesis 9 and verse 4. And then there was a diet that was given for Israel. And for us, we also have a diet today. We are expected to go back to the Edenic diet. So the diet in Eden was the original diet. And that diet is, I have given you every herb bearing seed, which is a grain. So the ones in bracket, I added that. That's not in the text. That's a grain. And every tree in which there is the fruit of the tree yielding seed. So that's the fruit, and that's the fruit with the seed inside of it. To you, that shall be meat. And meat here is referring to food, not meat like protein meat we eat, but to food. Then after the fall of man, there was the restorative diet. At that time, vegetables were added to the diet. And vegetables we know are herbs. And most, if not all, the prescriptions, the pharmaceutical drugs that are out there, they have some form of vegetables in them. So that was the restorative diet. And we know today that if we're sick, you can take some herbs, and that if you're having a stomachache, you can get some ginger or some peppermint. That's the restorative diet that was given after man sinned. Then after the flood, there was the emergency diet. At this time, meat, the permission was given to eat clean meat, but God still forbade the eating of meat with blood in it, and also with fat. So we were told that the meat or the flesh with the blood and the fat, we should not eat those. And those were given because, you see, man had become so sinful, and the eating of meat will drastically reduce lifespan. If you have studied the Bible, you will see how much, how we have declined over the years, from man living 969 years to now we're only given 70. And then the ideal diet for Israel was that they were permitted to eat meat of clean animals. However, they were still not supposed to eat fat nor blood. And today we know that most of the meat we eat still has the fat and the blood in it. Actually, that's what gives it the taste. And Leviticus 3:17 says that you shall eat neither fat nor blood. And then in the New Testament, we see where animals that were strangled, they should not eat animals that were strangled, because strangled animals, the blood did not run out of the animal, it stays inside of them. So there are foods that fight disease. And if I'm not sure if anyone has ever read the book, The China Study, but Dr. Colin Campbell and his son, who is also a doctor, they also amplified the fact that grains, fruits, nuts, and vegetables are the best diet for us to eat today, especially with all that's happening in the world, the way the animals are treated and the way they are fed and cared for. It's better to stick to the plant-based diet. So there are 6 major categories of nutrition, and I'm sure we all know them: carbohydrates, protein, fats, vitamins, minerals, and water. And 4, 5, and 6, we get those from our fruits or vegetables, and also water. You know, we get water by just drinking water. And a balanced plant-based vegan diet would have these 4 categories: grains, legumes, vegetables, and fruits. So we have to ensure that when we're eating a plant-based diet, we are getting all 4 categories. So the food group for fruits, on a daily basis, we're supposed to eat 3 to 5 servings of fruit per day. And a serving of fruit is a medium piece of fruit, or if you have a ripe banana and both hands can clasp over the right banana, then that's 2 serving. If you have an apple and it can hold in your hand and you can clasp your fingers around it, that's 1 serving. So we're supposed to have 3 to 5 per day. If you're having it's diced, then a cup is good, or a 1/4 cup of dried fruit, or a 1/2 cup of fruit juice. And this is not, I'm not talking about the one you buy in the store now, like if you're making your own fruit juice. For the vegetables, you need 4+ servings per day. And you're encouraged to eat a wide variety of colors of vegetables. And the vegetable serving, 1/2 cup of cooked, or 1 cup raw, or 1/2 cup of juice. And later on, I'll show you the plate, what the plate should look like. And so these servings, it might not be for everyone, because if my job is working at manual labor, then I'm going to require more than someone who is sitting at a desk every day. And the next food group, the grains, 4 to 6 servings per day. And we are encouraged to eat whole grain as opposed to the ones that are refined, because we are getting the maximum nutrients from the whole grain. They are preferable to refined, and the healthiest part is removed, and then they will package it and sell it to us again in different packages. So they will take off the bran and they will sell it to us as wheat bran. So we don't want that. We want to eat the whole grain, have it intact, right? So your millet, your quinoa, your oats, your wheat berries, your brown rice, those are good whole grains to have. And you can have your 1/2 cup of cooked rice, or 1 ounce of ready-to-eat cereal. And again, for someone who is working more, they will require much more than someone sitting at a desk. The fats and proteins, you'll get these from your legumes and your nuts and seeds. And in this category, we'll have the beans, the split peas, the lentils, or nuts, seeds, and or soy products. And we need to remember that, for example, soy products, a lot of persons will say, I don't want to have anything to do with soy because it causes cancer. And then I will say to you, look at the Asians, they eat soy products every day. And they are not having the types of cancers that we have. And I'm not talking about the Asians here in North America. I'm talking about the ones who are still in their native country, because they have the soy that is not modified. One thing I would love to say, however, soy, for example, tofu, it's a concentrated product. Tofu is dense, it's packed. As a family, we make tofu. We sell tofu. So when we are making 1 tofu, we are using over 14 cups of soy milk. That is not something that you would have in 1 day. So when you're eating your tofu, be aware that you are eating something that's densely packed, that's high protein. Therefore, you do not want to be having it 2-3 times a week, or even 7-8 times per month. You want to spread it out. I'm sure you will remember something about moderation from the temperance lecture. So if you love tofu, then you want to spread it out. Have it in our family, we'll have it probably twice per month, and we make tofu. So it's something that, you know, you don't want to have too often. Then you want to have a 1/2 cup of cooked beans, or 4 ounces of tofu, or a cup of soy milk, 1 ounce of nuts or seeds, or 2 tablespoons of nuts or nut butter, nut or seed butter. So that like peanut butter, cashew butter, almond butter, or lentil tahini butter, or sunflower seed butter, those kinds. You want to have 2 tablespoons of those. Then we want to, the text that we read before talks about fruits and vegetables. So we know fruits are those things with the seed in it. The seed has to be inside of it for it to be a fruit, and anything that has the seed on the outside of it. So if you have done any form of gardening and you watch a vegetable, say you plant kale or Swiss chard or any one of those, and it's going to flower, the seed, it grows a stem and the seed is on the outside, or callaloo, things like those. You see the seed on the outside, you know those are vegetables. So here's a list of fruits and vegetables. And we have some of the thing, we have the sweet fruits. We also have the ones that are not sweet at all, like the tomatoes and the cucumbers. Those are fruits, and all the others are vegetables. We have root vegetables, and we also have some that like the cabbage and and the beet top that we also eat that are above ground as well. So based on that, if we look at these 2 pictures, then there is something wrong with these pictures, right? I just pulled these pictures from Google, because on the vegetables, you will notice that they have tomatoes and cucumbers and pumpkins. So the pumpkins, all the squash, the pumpkins, the squash, the cantaloupes, they are in one family, and they are all fruits. So on the one on the left, the pumpkin is on the vegetables, but the watermelon, which is in the same family, that is under fruit. So just so you know, fruits have the seed on the inside, like your ripe banana. These days, because they're genetically modified, persons are not seeing the seeds anymore on the inside. But if you look on the plantain, which is in the same family as the ripe banana, you'll see the seeds on the inside. So instructions on eating. For persons who have having stomach issues, it is best that you do not have fruits and vegetables at the same meal, because it causes disruption in the stomach, and it makes your stomach problem worse. So if you're having acid reflux or GERD or any form of digestive issues, it's best to have your fruits at one meal, your vegetables at another meal. For persons who have stronger constituents, who have no problem with their stomach, then you may want to go ahead and have your fruits and vegetables together. You want to have a variety, vary your diet. So eat different colors, because all the different colors comes with different nutrient. And again, you want to eat whole grain. You want to avoid as best as possible sugars and stick to natural sweeteners. So honey and maple syrup and dates and ripe bananas, and you can use ripe banana to sweeten your whatever it is you're doing, and raisins, prunes, things like those. But avoid especially the sugars. The cane sugar is a good sugar, but there are some fine sugars that they almost look like the granulated white sugar, and some of them, they are just the white sugar that they have put some molasses over. So you want to avoid those and ensure that you're getting organic sugar. So like the organic cane sugar, or go to the other natural sweeteners. Regularity, Sean mentioned that in his presentation. Our bodies love regularity. So you want to ensure that you have a set time to eat at the same time every day. And why would you want to do that? Your stomach acid will be produced at that time for your meal, and it will be stronger and ready to digest your meal. Avoid snacking between meals. have your breakfast. Do not skip breakfast. It's your powerhouse as you wake up to keep you going through the day. Supper, you can avoid supper, but if you're taking supper, it should be light. It should be fruit, a banana or two, or it should be a slice of toast. No butter on the toast. So you could put some applesauce on your toast, for example. And the reason is when you're taking supper, you're not going to use up that energy. So if you're eating dinner at 5, 6 o'clock and you're having a heavy meal, then you're putting a lot of burden on your stomach, and which is working through the night when it should be resting. And that was covered yesterday as well in the rest presentation. So you want to have no oil at your supper, because that takes very long to digest, which is why you wouldn't have any butter, any nut butter or anything at all on your toast. Avoid overeating. That was mentioned in your temperance lecture. Chew properly. That was mentioned too. It's very, very important, because for persons who are not chewing properly, you'll realize, and I hope that we're all looking behind us when we go to the bathroom. So when you're not chewing properly, then you will see residue in your feces, and that is not supposed to happen. Remember, our mouth is the only place that we have teeth, and our food is, the digestion starts in the mouth, especially for your carbohydrates, which is in your vegetables and your fruits as well. Your water, drink your water in between meals, not with your meals. Fasting is important. No cold drink or food. So no cold smoothie. If you're gonna make a smoothie and you take your fruits from the freezer and you're gonna use milk, warm the milk or use some warm water, because your stomach is not ready to accept anything cold. When anything cold goes into the stomach, it has to stay there until it is warmed up. By the time it is warmed up, it starts to putrefy. Basically, it starts to rot. Your body does not get the nutrient that you wanted to give it because the food was too cold. And if you're gonna have ice cream after your meal, even if it's plant-based ice cream, that's a total no-no, because again, it's gonna stop digestion on the food that was there before and cause problems. So you will end up with bloating and stinky gas, and you don't want to have that, right? And spacing your meals, you want to space your meals properly, and we will come to that. Now, this is a snacking study that was done, and it was done on some nurses at UC Pines. And this study showed that for person number one, so we have the normal breakfast that was given, then 2 hours later, and the results that happened after. So for person number one, they were given their breakfast and there was no snack that was given to that person. After 4.5 hours, their stomach was empty. Person number two had ice cream cone 2 hours after. 6 hours after that, there were residues still in the stomach. And you can see for all the other persons, they were given a sandwich, a pumpkin pie, a slice of bread with butter, and the person number 6 was given twice in the morning, and in the afternoon, they were given just a chocolate candy. 13.5 hours later, when they did the x-ray on the stomach, they had more than 1/2 of the morning meal was still in the stomach. So this is one reason why you will not want to snack. And if for whatever reason you are told by your health professional that you should have small meals, 6 small meals for the day, then please refer to this study. It is a no-no. Because at the end of the day, as you will see, you'll have residue still in your stomach. So irritants and I can't see the word. I'm so sorry.
Promoters of digestive disorders.
Oh, thank you. Promoters of digestive disorders, hot peppers and spices. So we want to avoid hot peppers. Even cayenne. Cayenne pepper is very good. It's very good medicinally, but you don't want to cook your cayenne. If you're gonna take cayenne pepper, add it to your meal at the end of cooking or when you're at the table than cooking with it, because it will irritate your stomach, and spices will do the same thing. And some spices, by spices I'm referring to like nutmeg, cinnamon, those spices, they are irritants. However, we do use these things in case of someone has a medical concern, then we can use them medicinally, but we don't want to use them on a regular basis because they will irritate the stomach. The same thing will happen to alcoholic beverages. They are irritants and they will cause our foods to ferment. So we want to avoid those. We want to avoid anything with caffeine. Caffeine is, it stimulates, and anything that stimulates, especially late at nights for persons taking caffeine, they'll realize that it will keep them up. You don't want to have that happening to you. Milk, sugar, and egg combination is very bad. So it's best if you're someone that is taking egg, that you do not take it together with sugar and milk. So if you're baking and it calls for egg, then you can use an egg replacement. And a good egg replacement is 1 tablespoon of grounded flaxseed with 3 tablespoons of hot water, and you just mix that, and that's a good egg replacer. Baking soda and baking powder, you don't want to introduce those to your stomach as well, which is when you look at this list, you'll realize that it's comforting when you are cooking for yourself, because you can determine what you are putting into your body, or at least you're reading your labels before you purchase something. Your stomach is acidic. The acid in our stomach, which is the hydrochloric acid, is enough to bore a hole through your skin if it goes on your skin. And I've seen somewhere where someone says it can bore through metal. So that's how God made the stomach. That's how it is supposed to be, because it is breaking down our food, especially for persons who are eating animal-based protein. It needs even more acidity to break down the animal protein. So baking soda or baking powder, when it goes into the stomach, it reduces the acidity of the stomach. Therefore, the food is not broken down properly. And we are so wonderfully made that when the acidic food leaves the stomach, the pancreas produces and releases bicarbonate soda, which is the same thing that's in the baking soda and the baking powder, so that the food going into the intestines is not acidic. So you don't want to consume foods with either of those 2 products. Refrain from having foods that are overripe or underripe, right? And as we mentioned before, the fruits and vegetables, especially for persons who have digestive issues. We mentioned the foods that are too hot or too cold, that you should eat no less than 5 hours apart, because the food will take 4.5 hours to leave the stomach. The stomach needs some time to rest, and then you can introduce new food to your stomach again. And here, this chart is showing us how long the food is staying in our stomach. So it's retained in our stomach for up to 4 hours. If you notice, after 4 hours, there is still, in males and female, just a small amount of food that is left in our stomach. So we want to make sure that we are not introducing more food, even as small as a candy, to our stomach after we have eaten our complete meal. So variety, rotate your food, Try to eat whole grains. So for example, rolled oats, you eat the whole oats as opposed to, you know, the cut up oats. You're gonna try to eat natural as possible instead of canned or bottle. Try to eat clean, get organic, and eat with colors. Prepare your meals so that they're visually appealing, that it's appetizing. A lot of people believe that when you're plant-based, your meal is not appetizing and it doesn't look good, but that is the farthest thing from the truth. Be balanced, you have your proportions, freshly prepared, economical, and have regularity in eating, and do not eat the same thing 3, 4, 5 days in a row. So you're not going to cook a pot of rice and have that rice every single day, because you need to have different things at different meals. Also, you're gonna eat healthy all the time, and you are going to ensure that your vegetables are not eaten raw. Try as best as possible to at least steam your vegetables, because there is in the vegetable itself, you have cellulose, and the cellulose, it's easy for animals to digest that. A cow will eat the vegetable, or and because they have 2 or 3, or some animals 4 different stomach, they can bring it up and they can chew it again. We are not like that. So we want to ensure that we steam our vegetables and have the cellulose broken down. Fasting is very important for us, and it has very good benefits. It helps to eliminate waste from our bodies, and it assists our bodies to rest. It assists our bodies in healing. It initiates cleansing. It re-educates our taste buds. So sometimes you don't like something, but if you're fasted for a day and you try that thing, you realize that you can tolerate it better at that time. It helps us to break addictions, and it promotes clarity of thought. If you're trying to write a paper and you cannot think straight, try fasting. And which is why I heard a gentleman mentioning getting up early to have his devotion. And that is why in the morning it is best to spend your time in devotion, because you have that fast overnight. So when you have your last meal and you fast for the night, that too is a fast as well, because some persons will have like 12 up to 16 hours of fast between their last meal and the next meal. So your plate portions. On your plate, we encourage that you have half of your plate with fruits or vegetables, and the other half, you're gonna cut that in two, and you have your protein in 1/4 of that plate and your whole grain in the other quarter of your plate. And you end with a handful of nuts, and you make water your choice of drink. And this is the same thing again, just showing it in a different graph, but it's the same thing, that you have your plate that way. And when you eat like that, because the healing, remember the vegetables were given for healing, then you are healing yourself. And these are just some of the many nuts that you can have. A handful, you're gonna have a handful of nuts. It's very important that you have a handful, and I will explain why in just a minute. So we're eating for health. We're gonna avoid stimulating substances. We're gonna avoid the use of condiments. And in condiments, we also have things like vinegar that's not good for the body. Vinegar is actually alcohol fermented. So vinegar is worse than alcohol. And in your ketchup, in your dressing, your salad dressing, your mayonnaise, vegenaise, even the vegetarian ones, you have vinegar. So you want to stay away from that and replace your vinegar with lemon juice. Phytic acid, That's one reason why you want to have a handful of nuts, because nuts are high in fat and nuts contain phytic acid. Now, our bodies can take just a small amount of phytic acid per day. And we have phytic acid in our nuts, in our beans, in our whole grains. And if we are taking in too much, we're having problems. So you want to ensure that you are having just a handful and that your grains are properly cooked. And it's best, if you can, to eliminate animal-based products. If you can't, then you ensure that they are properly prepared and that they are properly cooked. And as best as possible, that the blood and the fat is removed. Use whole grain, avoid canned foods because the aluminum leaches into the food that are in the can. So you have canned foods for emergency only. But, you know, it's best if you can cook your food, pre-cook them, bag them, put them in the freezer, and you're ready. You pull them out whenever you're ready. Use a healthy salt. A healthy salt like the pink Himalayan salt or the Celtic salt has 84 trace elements in it. It comes from the ocean, and you may have heard that soldiers who have been in war, they use the same water, the sea water, as IV fluid when they were during the war. So it has the same elements as our bodies, so you can always use those. Ensure that when you're buying the pink Himalayan salt, it's the one that has iodine in it. Read your labels very well and use your omega fats. And a very good practice is to start your day with half the juice of half of a lemon in some warm water. It cleanses you, and I can guarantee you shortly thereafter, you're going to the bathroom. So usually with nutrition, we will take a lot of things away and persons would say, oh, I'm left with nothing. So we want to give you some recipes, and we have sent some recipes on to Sean, so he will send more to you. But these are just some simple plant-based recipes that you can have. And food combination is very, very important. And what do I mean by that? When you are eating plant-based, you need to know how to get your protein. So in this particular recipe, for example, if you can see my cursor, you are going to get your protein from it's the breakdown of the amino acids. Oh, where did my cursor go? Okay, so you have, in this recipe, you have pecans and you have brown rice. Any two combination will give you complete protein. So if you have nuts and brown rice, then that's complete protein. If you have lentils and brown rice, then you have complete protein. So you can always get your complete protein by knowing how to make the combination. So right here we have a holiday loaf, and it has pecans and brown rice. But another two things that you could use, you could, for example, use lentils and quinoa, or lentils and millet, because that would also give you complete protein. And this is you can use walnut or pecan, and it's a burger that you're making with this one. The first one was a loaf. This one is a burger. And in this one, we have quick oats. So we have oats in this one, and we have chopped walnut. You can also use rolled oats if you want. But the quick oats and the chopped walnuts or pecan will give you complete protein. So if you're at home one day and you want to make a plant-based dish, and you didn't prepare anything, but you open your cupboard and you look in there, you can say, okay, I have some buckwheat. You can cook that, or you may have prepared some buckwheat ahead of time and that's in the freezer. So you can pull that out and you can put that with a nut, whichever nut of your choice. And you have a protein. You just need a binder and and your seasoning, whatever seasoning you want, and liquid to hold it together. And voila, you're making your own recipe. Now, this is, as I said, we make tofu. So this is one of our family favorite. And I think I did this maybe a week ago. We had, we prepared this dish, and that was the first in a long time. So you can enjoy this recipe as well. This is a tofu recipe. It has, before I used to call it rainbow tofu, but now I call it happy tofu because it has lots of colors in there, and you can add other things in it to give you different colors. We have the bell peppers, the orange and the red, and we have the purple onion. Oh, the onion should be purple, okay? I forgot the onion. Oh, I do have it there, onion, the purple onion, okay. Don't overcook the purple onion so that the color goes away. And we're giving you a cheese sauce as well. And now we're off to our commitment. With the knowledge I now have, this is what you're reading. You are reading this to yourself. With the knowledge I now have about the importance of proper diet, I purpose to eat for health and healing at all times. Abide by the principles of proper food combination so that I can get the maximum nutrients from my food. And daily to eat to the glory of God. I pray that this will be your commitment. There is a lot more that we could say, but time does not permit. But I encourage you to commit to eat for health. Purpose in your heart that everything you put in your mouth, you will say, I am eating for health. I am eating so that I will not have diabetes. I'm eating so I will not have hypertension and all the other medical conditions that you can think of. Thank you very much. I encourage you to start your journey towards better health today. And this is how you can contact us. And our website is almost finished. So I put the website there as well. Thank you.
Thank you so much,
Thank you.
Rosetta. Thank you so much. I know I'm not the only one that was blessed. Was everyone blessed? Was everyone encouraged?
Amen.
There's so much information that's, definitely powerful. Thank you so much, Sister Dodd.
Yes, I want to share this really quickly with you guys. I know it was a lot of information. And, the Bible says in Proverbs chapter 4:18, it says that the path of the just is as a shining light that's shining more and more until the perfect day. And we may not necessarily know what that means, but what the Bible is saying in Proverbs 4:18 is that the Christian path, just like when we wake up in the morning and, we see the sun, it gets brighter and brighter and brighter until noon, that is the path of the Christian. So as it relates to what we just learned and what we've learned for this whole series, is that little by little, God will give you information, conviction, and more you'll grow and grow until that perfect day when his character is revealed in your heart. So don't feel bombarded. Don't feel overwhelmed. Little by little, ask God by faith to apply these principles. And by his grace and with his strength, you can obtain that health that he would have you to have so you can be a light in a dark world. At this point, we want to entertain some questions. We're a little over time, but we will also give everyone an opportunity to ask questions, and the floor is now open. Comments and questions, but preferably questions first and then comments. Please don't be shy. Let's talk.
Can I ask a question?